Welcome to the Confident Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Anne, mama of two, holistic pregnancy and pediatric sleep consultant, and the founder of Empowered Decisions. In our seasons together, I'm here to help you step into your inner confidence from pregnancy to motherhood. Whether you are preparing to meet your baby or integrating into new mom life, this is a safe space with education and support for your journey. Join me as we raise the vibe of our motherhood collective. Welcome back to the Confident Motherhood Podcast. Hi, I'm Anne, your holistic pregnancy and infant and toddler sleep consultant. And today we are talking about life after sleep training. I want to leave you with really good expectations for one, what are we doing when we're sleep training? And what can you expect after sleep training? And then I want to give you my 3 keys to success for keeping your little one a good sleeper for a long time. It is very common, either when I'm initially connecting with families and they're exploring sleep coaching, like on a 15-minute call, or when I am on program with families and they're already starting to see the success, the naps, the sleeping through the night. And they're like, this is great, but what happens after coaching? And oftentimes when you've been in a season of sleep struggle for some time and then sleep gets better, it is very common that families will share with me, I don't want to mess this up. Like, what do we do when we have a family dinner? What do we do when we have a weekend away or we're planning a trip or there's a doctor's appointment? Like, how do we navigate this? So let's set some expectations for life on program and life after program. Because I ironically enough just got off of an explore call with a family who transparently shared with me, they're like, look, we're not super structured. So in order to coach with you, like, does things have to be perfect? And what does this mean? So when we're coaching, and I work with families for 2 weeks, I do recommend commit. And if you're investing in sleep, invest your time, invest in like really committing into this plan, because one, your child's going to learn so much faster and easier, but you're going to be able to achieve the sleep success that you want in that time, right? And sleep success meaning they've learned to put themselves to sleep and sleep through the night or wake up and put themselves back to sleep, whether they're still getting a night feed or not. They've learned to take their naps and lengthen their naps or eating efficiently. We've gotten rid of sleep debt. And like really, we've just laid a solid foundation. That's always my goal, is that I'm educating you in these 2 weeks and your child has a solid sleep foundation. But in that process, sometimes it does feel like sleep jail, right? Like I want you to be home, like have those naps in the crib, really commit to that process. But I want you to do that. And if it's something that you desire, right? Because it's all about your commitment to this process, because I want you to have the flexibility beyond coaching. There is a, I guess, myth, if you will, that if babies have gone through sleep training in some capacity, that they have to be on this perfect schedule all the time or sleep's going to go backwards and sleep's going to regress. False. And I'm going to talk about my 3 keys to success moving forward. But no, it's actually the complete opposite. I want you to lay the foundation so that you can live your life and take the trips and go away and do the brunch and do the dinner and trust that sleep is going to be fine. Now, going back to families feeling nervous coming outside of the 2-week coaching period and not wanting to mess things up, I usually encourage families to do it, especially if they do have something actually that's being planned, because not until you start doing it and see that, oh, we had that late bedtime, but my child was still fine and they still went to sleep. Or we went away for the weekend and we were out and about doing fun things and the schedule wasn't perfect, but they still slept. Once you do it and you do it more, it will build your confidence that you can go live your life and still have a sleeping baby, a sleeping toddler. And the other reality of this, I experienced this, especially with my oldest, who I did much more travel with when he was younger, is even if you get off plan, and I always share this with families too. Let's say, like this used to happen when I would travel with my oldest and I would co-sleep with him, like at, grandma and grandpa's house sort of thing. Every time I got back home, I got back on track. He was back in his crib and we were back on the schedule. Like sleep doesn't have to be perfect for sleep to be good. But when you understand your child's sleep, you've already gone through this process. You understand pediatric sleep and all these different layers, because I holistically coach with families. So there's always a lot of moving pieces around sleep, baby and toddler, even newborn sleep. Always a lot of layers. When you understand that and you understand how to problem solve and navigate, understand their development, the ever-changing schedule, all the things, you can get sleep right back on track. So things don't have to be perfect while you're away. So life on program, yes. Commit, be more structured, really dive into that process so that you can have the flexibility beyond coaching and be able to keep them a good sleeper for a long time. And that comes down to these 3 keys. The first key is protect their sleep skills. So what does that mean? When we're coaching and sleep training of any time, generally there is an intention of your child learning to sleep independently, meaning they don't need the holding, the feeding, the rocking, the bouncing, the pacifier. You can put them in their crib or their bed if they're a toddler. 100% awake and they can put themselves to sleep. They have developed the skill of sleep. They can do it. And when we're coaching, obviously there's layers of support and, coaching them through that process. But once they've got those skills, we want to protect them because babies don't just wake up one day, aside from what the world will have you believing. They don't just wake up one day and regress. A regression truly is when a baby was able to sleep and now they're not able to sleep, which they don't just wake up because they're 6 months or 8 months or 12 months or 15 months or whatever and be like, oh, you know what? All these skills that I've been using for a long time, I don't know how to use them. That's not what happens. And I say this too, which sometimes I guess probably sounds a bit, rude or a bit aggressive in a way. Babies don't regress, parents regress. Like if we accidentally or intentionally start bringing back in sleep associations, right? Oh, we slowly started feeding them again or holding them again or rocking them again, whatever it is, then yeah, they can regress in their skills and be like, oh, I don't need to do it on my own anymore because you're doing it for me. So then yes, over time, babies always regress a lot slower than toddlers do generally. But yes, if we start bringing back those aids, they can regress. But they don't just wake up and unlearn sleep skills just because they are upon a milestone age or they are developing a new skill, right? From rolling to sitting to crawling to walking to vocab skills, all of these different parts of development that can be connected to sleep disruption. And I think that's a big part of the confusion is, yeah, we can see pockets of time, whether it's a few days or maybe on and off for a week or two, where you see some extra night wakings or some shorter naps or some earlier rises. Those are pretty much like the heavy hitters of sleep disruption. But your child can still sleep. They can still use their sleep skills. So what does developmental times look like after a child has a sleep foundation and has gone through sleep training is very different than the kind of the dramatic or the ebbs and flows of the really good nights and the really hard nights. Yes, when we don't have a good sleep foundation, can we expect developmental times to feel very regressive and to feel like there's a lot of problems? We can, but that's not the expectation once you've gone through, especially holistic sleep training. I always tell families confidently, you don't have to worry about sleep regressions beyond this time. I want you to be educated, understand their sleep, understand how to navigate it, understand how to keep them a good sleeper for a long time. But it's not something you have to wait for the next sleep bomb to drop. We just need to understand their sleep and how to keep them on that path. So that is an expectation in that capacity. Number one, we're protecting their sleep skills so that they do not regress in their skills. Number two is going to be to honor an age-appropriate schedule. This is with an intention of always making sure that your schedule is evolving with your child and their age. Babies go through lots of nap transitions, especially in the first year. And then about around 15, 16 months, they get onto the one nap schedule. And then they're going to be on that for a long time until they ultimately drop their nap, usually somewhere between age 3 and 4. I want you to know those things, whether I'm coming on board and you have a young baby or you have an older baby or you're in toddlerhood. I want you to have an understanding of what the scheduling is by age, because we want to have the knowledge of what that is by age, but then we want to go child specific because there can be variances within that. So when you understand what an age appropriate schedule is, it's always aligned for their body and their development, which is really helpful for their sleep because sleep is never just one layer. There's lots of layers around it and their scheduling plays a big role in that. You can have an independent sleeper and if their schedule is completely off and they're overtired, they're undertired, they can still have sleep struggles. So we always want to make sure that we have that. The third key is to stay solid on their routines that we've built for them. This is a nap routine. This is a bedtime routine. This is what gives them the cue and the signal that sleep is coming. Babies and toddlers really do thrive in routine and consistency, so we want to give that to them. This does not mean that routines do not evolve and change. Baby routines can vary from older baby routines, can vary from toddler routines. Lots of changes by the child and depending on what the needs are. Younger babies, we have milk in their routines, bottle or nursing. Toddlers, we might have more books in rotation or songs or those sorts of things. So we always want to make sure that we just have good expectations for them. Those are the cues. Those are the signals. That's what helps them to know what to expect. This starts to play a really big role in toddlerhood because toddlers are developmentally meant to push their boundaries and they don't always love change. So when you have really solid routines and they know what to expect, you are going to see less pushback. They're meant to push their boundaries. That's okay. That's normal. But we want them to know what to expect going into their nighttime sleep because you can see much more back and forth and kind of toddler antics. I never feel that toddlers are manipulating us in incapacity, but they are oftentimes trying to draw out that connection. That is normal. But if they're trying to draw out that connection on top of being overtired and not having solid routines and not knowing what to expect, bedtime can bring about so many more challenges that we can avoid. So those three keys, again, are going to be protect their sleep skills, always understand and make sure that your child has an age appropriate schedule, which is going to change. And then always make sure that we're staying really solid on their routines so that they know what to expect. The family that I was speaking with right before recording this episode also asked, okay, well, what about life after coaching when we have questions, or let's say something comes up that we weren't experiencing when we were coaching with you? What does that look like? And even though my goal is always to have success with you and lay that foundation and give you the tools and the education so that you can keep them a good sleeper for a long time, I always joke like I'm not going anywhere. So whether you need to book a 30-minute session and you're navigating some new things, you're going to email me and here's what's going on. Here's my top questions. Here's what I want to dive into. We dive in on that 30-minute session. I give you it all. And I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. This is what I want you to implement, check back in with me, etc. Or I have some families that kind of want to keep me on retainer a little bit more. So I have a monthly sleep membership. One of the apps that I use when I'm coaching with families is called Voxer, and it's basically voice notes, like a walkie-talkie text, and we get to stay very connected daily throughout the coaching process. So some families want that to continue on beyond coaching. So I have a membership where families can reach out a couple times a month, get their questions answered, and sometimes that is co-signing on a nap transition. Sometimes that's going from crib to toddler bed. Sometimes that's, transitioning away from milk or weaning, or just generally some sleep and development that's coming up. So when we're coaching, we're working together for 2 weeks, but life beyond coaching, I always want families to know that you have support and access to a sleep resource so you can continue to navigate the rest of baby and toddlerhood. I hope this episode was helpful. I wanted to keep it tight. And as always, connect with me on socials. If you have any, topics, you're like, I'm just dying to hear about this or know about this or learn about this. I am always taking recommendations for podcast episodes, but I hope that this was helpful and you're kind of understanding expectations for sleep training, life beyond sleep training, and really just keeping sleep solid, long term. So until the next episode, lots of love. Whether you're a tired mom struggling with your little one's sleep or an expecting mom looking for empowerment and advocacy as you prepare for birth, I'm here to show up for you with proven strategies and education to elevate your journey. You deserve to feel heard and given the tools to have success. Mama, you do not have to navigate your pregnancy or sleep struggles alone. Head over to empoweredwithann.com to discover how we can support you. Confidence, empowerment, and peace are just a click away.